please hold. Get the tips and tricks, Al. Get the tips and tricks for the people. Okay, there's no tricks. Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids. Don't you know this? All right, are we rolling? We're rolling. Okay, what's going on, guys? Al Kulo. Welcome back to another video. In this video, all right. Yeah, I'm terrible at this. So in this video, what I want to do is just kind of talk about a few things that I've learned the past year doing wildlife photography. So there's a lot of new people here, and I've gained most of those in the past like 3 months or so. So what some of you might not know is, well, for the past 10 years, I've pretty much been a landscape photographer. Landscape, nature, seascapes, all of that stuff. We'll just bucket it all under landscape photography, right? But so obviously in the past year, I didn't travel much. I did travel out to Tetons and Yellowstone late August, early September. And I did a little bit of landscape photography out there, but I also did kind of wildlife because I'm trying to build up my portfolio. Well, the other morning I was having a cup of coffee in my little sunroom. These things just kind of popped into my head. So I jotted them down in my notes. And basically there's like 5 things. And these are simple beginner wildlife photography things you should probably know. We'll just call them tips, okay? So if you're more experienced, this video might not be for you. But maybe you just want to hang out for 10 minutes or maybe like 25, however long this lasts. So we'll call it 5 beginner wildlife photography tips. Okay, so most of these are just when I'm out freestyling. This is not really pertaining to hiding in a blind, but I guess some of them could be. So number 1, you want to be quiet when you're walking around, and you want to walk like gently. I mean, this seems pretty obvious, but I didn't realize actually how important this was until I kind of started going out there. And what made me think about it was, there's this guy, don't worry, he doesn't watch his channel. Not many people do. He's a wildlife photographer, and he goes to a lot of the same spots that I go to. So I've seen him around a lot. I know his car, he knows mine, etc. Whatever. Anyways, so like, you know, instead of me going up a trail a minute before him and he's behind me, I'm like, look, you want to just walk up together so I don't scare them away, and you have an opportunity, we both have opportunities to take photos. And he's like, yeah. And then he's like talking to me as if we're like at a barbecue in someone's backyard. I'm like, dude. So anyways, look, the wildlife are going to hear you and they're going to see you most likely before you hear and or see them. It's just really important when you're walking around to be super quiet. It's hard in the winter time when you're walking on snow. That's what I really realized this winter. It's extremely difficult. And like in the winter time, the leaves are always crunching, sticks are dry, they snap. But anyways, when you're out there in the field, walk quietly, you know, walk softly, I guess, if you will. And that kind of leads into number 2. And that is like no fast movements. I don't just mean like walking around fast or running around fast or whatever you want to do fast. What I used to do is like, when I saw a deer, I'd just be like, and like, I would just throw my camera up to my eye or be like this, because I shoot a lot. I don't shoot much using the viewfinder. I shoot a lot with the LCD. So I would just throw the camera up and be like this, and like, you know, I'd be snapping this back down. Yeah, you don't want to do that stuff. Any fast movements are going to scare the wildlife away. So if you're moving your camera around, you know, moving your hands to like get your hair out of your face or putting up a hood or whatever you're doing, like just take it slow. So again, no fast movements. So number 3, this is like vastly important with landscape photography or with wildlife photography, is get to know your area. I go to the same like 3 places all of the time. I know where the animals are gonna be. I know where they eat. In the wintertime, it's awesome because you can actually see the game trails and stuff, so you know where they're walking. You can see like where they sleep and things like that. So yeah, getting to know the area is super important because you can pretty much determine where the animals are gonna be, when they're gonna be there, and almost like what they're gonna be doing. But if you did watch in my last video, and I'll link that up here where I messed up, I had my hide set up at the end of the field. I should have been on the total opposite end of the field. This is what I'm saying. Like, I know these things, but sometimes we just don't implement them. It's important to know things, but it's twice as important to actually implement these things. Get to know the area, you'll know where the animals are, and yeah, it's just gonna help you out a lot. Don't be shy going to the same place. In landscape photography, we'll tell you this too. Go to the same spot often because you know how the light's gonna be, you know the environment, you know where the good angles might be, and all that is also relevant in wildlife photography. So number 4, this one is really important, and this is something that I'm still learning. Learn animal behavior. This is super, super important. I didn't even understand how important it was. And to be quite honest, I never even really looked into it until about maybe 6 months ago. I've been doing wildlife photography for just over a year now. And just 6 months ago or so, I started saying, actually, maybe not even 6 months ago, probably like 4 months ago. And so I started going online and reading. How do deer see? You know, do they just see black and white? Is it shades of gray? Is it blocks? How well is their sight? We know that their hearing is exceptional. I mean, starting to learn like all the different bird behavior is super important because you're gonna learn their behavior. You're gonna learn like what kind of food they eat, you know, where they might seek shelter, where they like raise a family, all these different things, right? And it helps you understand where they might be, what kind of food they're going after. So you can kind of go to those areas, right? And you can kind of set up there, hang out for the day, and see if you come across anything. And the other thing with like animal behavior is if you know where they are, this also kind of goes back to the other one, getting to know the area, but if you know where they are, it just gives you a better chance of kind of sneaking up on them, if you will. And what I recommend is like, I've been watching a lot of hunting videos, people who hunt deer, because there's a lot of deer here where I live. And so those guys give like exceptional tips in their videos. I'm sure any good wildlife photographer will tell you that you have to know the animals. So yeah, that's my 4th tip. Try and learn the animals, learn their behavior, all of that stuff as much as you can. Okay, so this is the last one, number 5. And this is what I do. I don't know if anyone else does this. I'm a little bit of a weirdo, but anyways. So I'm always scanning the area where I am. If I'm just like, I'm freestyling, right? So I'm just hiking along trails and I'm doing whatever I'm doing. While I'm walking, I'm always looking around. I'm always looking to the sides. I'm always looking in front, obviously. I'm even always looking behind me because, you know, there's nothing to say that an animal can't like walk behind you, right? And what I do is I'm not specifically like looking for an animal. I'm looking for movement, like between the trees in the woods. You know, it's always the movement that's gonna catch your eye. You know, like I said, there's a lot of deer where I live and they're well camouflaged. I mean, and obviously in the summer when there's leaves, but even in the winter, right, the color just blends into the leaves and all, and the trees and all that stuff. So it's relatively difficult to kind of just see their, you know, unless they're in an open field, obviously, but it's kind of difficult to see them in the woods. And so I do all these things. I'm walking super slow. I'm always scanning the area. I'm being really quiet. I'm making slow movements. As I'm walking, I'll stop and I'll look around a little bit, look around and then keep walking, then stop and just like look around. And this way, you know, if there is some type of movement in the woods, that's where what my eye is gonna catch. And that's how I actually like will see the animal in the woods, as opposed to just like, oh, is there any deer out there? I mean, there's been times these guys have been right in front of me. I haven't even seen them until they start running. So those are my tips, 5 tips, and we'll just kind of recap really quickly. Number 1, you want to walk slowly and you want to walk softly. You don't want to make noise. If they see you before you see them, which is going to happen, if you're just kind of walking softly and gently and you're giving off an easy vibe, field animals can feel vibes, then, you know, they might not run away. They'll watch you for a while, but they might stay there and not perceive you as a threat. Number 2, no fast movements. I never even thought of this stuff. I would grab my camera, like I said, in a rush and nervous because I wanted to get the shot. Now I don't care if I miss the shot. If the animal stays there, you're gonna get the shot. If the animal runs away, you're definitely gonna miss the shot. And what I also do is if I'm standing and walking, I see like animals, I kneel down. The lower you are, less of a threat you are to them. Number 3, get to know your area. This is vital, not only for landscape photography, but also wildlife photography. So number 4, learning animal behavior. Study the animals, how they think, how they see. You know, do they see in colors? What colors scare them away? This and that. Try to understand what they eat, their diet, all of that stuff. That's gonna help you out in the field as well. And then number 5, always be scanning. Always looking around. You know, it's just gonna give you a better chance of like seeing an owl, maybe up in a tree, birds, anything obviously. So that's it. Those are my 5 tips. Nothing crazy, nothing extravagant, but if you're a beginner, even if you're not a beginner, like that guy I know, you don't want to be out there just like running amok because you're not going to see anything. I hope those were helpful. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Love to have you on board. And I will see you guys in the next video. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.